Hello, hello, and welcome.
Hey Paco, how are we doing?
Good to jet lagged and time looped.
Perfect.
This time it's we'll call it the duo edition because
The
we're
duo.
missing
Yeah, we're missing Brian.
we're missing Brian.
Brian, where are you?
Yeah,
We're
we don't
not.
know where you are.
We're not able to reach you. You're totally.
You're missing, man.
Yeah.
You're
You're
you've
missing.
you've vanished from the surface of at least the office. I don't know the Earth, but I hope not.
No,
Yeah.
no. I think he should be busy with his kid.
Yeah, maybe something like that happened. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
We can handle this thing on
We'll
our own.
handle it.
Yeah. So how are you doing?
So, I'm good. I'm good. I'm just had like came back from vacation 2 weeks back. I went for a nice Italian wedding and went to Tuscany in Italy. Perfect, great food, and it was great.
That's
Amazing
awesome.
stuff. Yeah.
Well, you have good food in Italy, right?
Yes.
You feasted.
Feasted. I wouldn't say, but yeah, I really enjoyed the pastas and the pizzas, and not so much of meat though. But
Right.
I like the pastas and the pizzas more.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're not a vegetarian,
I'm not a vegetarian.
Okay.
No.
so you just didn't like the meat that they were
No, it's
preparing
not
or
like
the
I
way
di-
that they,
no, it's not. I didn't like it. The pastas and the pizzas are so interesting
Mhm.
already.
Yeah.
I didn't have the stomach for a
Right.
meal. Even
Okay.
for a wedding, where they served a 3-course meal. I think we had risotto, we had different ravioli pastas, and when the meat dish came, we were totally full. And I said I don't want it because I'm already
Right.
full,
It's
right? So it's
you
like
know,
I think it's too complicated because the food is like. They have the first dish, the second dish. By the time the meat comes in, I'm already full.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
cheese and there's so many things happening.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
that's what I heard about Italian courses. Like they put so much food and they have like the first one, the second one, the third one, the whatever. Like in Spain, we also have like a 3-course meal, but it's not as intense, I guess.
for me, for
What
me,
from what I heard, anyway. But
for me, it's like if everything is bought on the same time, then
Yeah.
you would go for meat, and you can pick and match, and you want to eat something. But when it's so serial, one after the other,
yeah,
and,
you're
and
right.
if the initial dishes are tasty, you end
Yeah.
up eating a lot. If you're Italian, you know the technique, right? So they
Yeah.
wouldn't really eat so much; they would wait for the meat.
Yeah.
But these things are so interesting. You eat so much, and then you're like full. No, I'm really full.
Yeah. So it's like a cornucopia of food, like within what 2 hours or more?
Right,
like,
right. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have you cannot make pauses between, right? Like,
Yeah. No, but it was great. It was great.
Yeah.
It was a bit of adventure too because I went with my car driving all the way with electric car
Right. Yeah.
to southern part of Tuscany where there are not so many chargers. There was
Oh,
there was an experience which was a bit.
Really okay.
I was a bit like nervous, but it worked out.
But doesn't the Tesla like plan the route first?
It does actually.
So-
But when you go to south of Tuscany, there's so many mountains here and there. For example, when we are going from one point to the other point, it said that we have about 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so and I was almost 75% of the trip. It says I'm 45 minutes away, and it's a mountainous road. So I took one wrong turn, and the Google Map rerouted everything, and it showed 2 hours or 1.5 hour again.
Right.
And I don't know where I lost my turn, and I was like, okay, because I didn't notice it because we were driving.
Yeah.
It says 45 minutes. I said, okay, keep on going for half an hour talking to my girlfriend. My girlfriend looks at the map and says, hey, now it's 1 hour 40 minutes. It's like, what? I was like, why? Why did this happen? Where? And it was like, we missed a turn somewhere which was so narrow, and
Yeah.
and then you lose the range, and then it's like, fuck, now I haven't planned for this extra
Your
thing.
statistics are off, and
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck.
And but it was not that bad. I mean, because it is very touristic area, so there are a lot of big hotels with the Tesla destination chargers.
Oh, right. Okay.
So we were lucky to find
Right.
some of the resorts where we can just go and park the car, have a food or a drink. Meanwhile, the car got.
But you think you could have been stranded at some point? If it wasn't for maybe one hotel in one place, or
I wouldn't say stranded, but it was a bit nervous. So there was a time where I had to take a chance where I had 40 kilometers range in my car, and there are 2 places I need to go. The thing is, like in this part of the world, like Switzerland or western or the northern part of Europe, typically when you have a destination charger, you can just go and charge. In that part, in Italy, in Tuscany, in the remote parts of Tuscany, it happens that on the map they say there's a charger, but you go there and the restaurant guys, they're not willing to to share the charge
But-
for whatever reason. You
But
know,
it's a private charger or
it's a private charger,
Ah,
but
right.
it's open to customers. So we are okay to
Ah.
we are okay to go and have dinner and lunch, but
Yeah.
still they're not. Some of them.
But if you eat, like
Yeah,
you're supposed to be a customer. I mean, maybe I don't know what the policy.
it happened that way. You know, they're not. So for one of the resort I went, and the kind of body language they gave was not inviting.
It was not welcoming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, but they still
Uh.
have to do it because they have an agreement with Tesla to do it, so they have to do it. But for me, I felt like
But
they were not
that's-
that inviting in terms because, you know.
But like, if you offer a service for customers, then that's it, right? Like, what's the
Yeah, but you know, they're not targeting customers like us who are on the road trip, and you know, they're probably looking for customers who are staying in their hotel and they want to charge the car, for example.
right? But
Right.
they can say that in their policy, right? Like, if you book a room, then you have the right to charge the car, and if you don't, then
Right, but they don't do that. They normally say patterns. Patterns is basically customers,
right.
and customer, according to us, is basically somebody who can go and have a drink too. We're also customers, right? Because they have bar, they have restaurants, so you can just. So typically they should be okay for us too. But somehow I felt like they're not that inviting, or maybe that's my feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So every time before I go to someplace, I really called and asked them, can I come and charge? And
Yeah.
they said, no, today we
Yeah.
are closed. Oh, today we are totally full with the restaurant, so we cannot. So this was the kind of thing. But anyway, I mean, at the end, there were some people who were nice. They said, okay, yes, you can come, you can charge. Maybe you had to pay a bit. I said, okay, fine. You know,
Right.
paying is the last thing I want to consider. but yeah, it was
Okay.
it was.
But it was an adventure, at least, right?
it was an adventure.
Right.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah.
I like road trips.
Yeah,
I
I
like
love
road
to.
trips.
I love.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I did my first year anniversary of the car last weekend. 1 year, I did 40,000 kilometers.
1 year, 40,000. I don't drive, so I don't know this. How
It's quite a lot.
it's quite a lot.
It's
Okay.
quite a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how far off are you from the mean, or
I think typically people do 20,000 maybe.
you doubled it? Okay.
Yeah. I think 15, 20. If you're in a city, I don't
Right.
think you would even do a 20,000.
Well, at the same time,
The fact is, I go every week into Basel.
Right, yeah,
so
exactly.
that's why I clocked it more. And then we do one of these road trips. Like, I think for the Easter, we went to Venice from here as well. So,
Yeah.
and
Well,
driving in Italy is crazy anyway.
Right.
People tailgate you.
Oh yeah. Okay. That's yes. Okay.
There's a certain. You
It
know,
rings a bell. Yeah.
You know, you go at 130, maybe you hit 140, and still people are behind you. You hit 150, still people are behind you
Wow, that's
tailgating.
fucking crazy.
And in the night, the highways are full of trucks. So, but you know,
Yeah.
you just need to. I need to install my Indian driving skill software, and then voila,
Right.
it's all okay.
You put the Indian driver hats, and then there you go.
It's
Right.
like, yeah, this is all fine.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, the only time in my life that I really feared for my well-being while actually walking in a sidewalk was in Italy, in Pisa to be.
Are there a lot of bikes on the coming of the sidewalk, or what?
The bikes weren't the problem, but the cars were the problem.
Right.
They were driving not only nuts, but always they tried to kind of mount on top of the sidewalk to counter whatever, and they do it like seamlessly. They don't give a fuck. Just do
Wow.
it.
Wow.
And then you need to pay attention to that because I don't know. You see the car, and the car is like, and he's just going on top of the sidewalk like, Jesus, he's kidding me. I don't know, and they don't respect signs. At least where I was, and at the time I was there, which was I don't know, like 7 or 8 years ago, and I really, really fear for my life. Not only that, but also the city is completely crowded with people with cars.
Pisa,
So-
right? Yeah.
Yeah, because of the tourism and whatever, and I really feared for my life, man.
Yeah, it's something. You know, I drove in Spain too, in other places. I think Italian driving, definitely it's a bit on a aggressive side. Let's put
Yeah.
it this way. I mean, they tailgate you. That really.
Wow,
hila-
that's-
I mean, for me, it's
I,
like
I hate that. Why would you do that? Like that puts you in danger as well as the other person. Like that's stupid.
it's just like, you know, just move away or something. You know, it's
Yeah,
just
but,
like they can flash as well. No, they just want to come all the way behind you.
Yeah. But you know what the problem is? I think it's a problem for everybody because
Yeah.
if you have here's my point, because you have two lanes, right? You have the right lane and the left lane. Supposedly, you always have to drive by the right lane, and you only go to the left lane to pass a car.
right,
Is that right?
right.
Okay. So the left lane should be only used when you pass a car. and then you go back to the right lane. But people drive on the left lane if you're quick, and on the right lane if you're slow. But that's not the point. And thus, if I want to pass another car, and then there's a car that is moving in the left lane not as fast as I would like, then I tailgate that guy. But that guy is not supposed to be there anyway. He's supposed to at some point go back to the right lane, right?
Right.
But
No,
they don't. So everybody's wrong anyway.
No, but it's like, you're already fast. There are only 2 lanes, imagine.
Right.
And the slow lane is really slow.
Yeah.
And the speed is 130. You're going at 140, 150. You're already crossing all the cars.
Yeah.
Somebody comes at 170 and they tailgate you. Now what you have to do is you need to really slow down, go to the slow lane, let him go, and then you go fast, which
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because on the fast lane, you're already overtaking a lot of cars.
Yeah,
But this guy wants even more faster. He just wants you to go in
Yeah.
the slow lane, and then he gets the thing. And
But-
for me, that is a bit like weird because
But that's my point. There shouldn't be a fast and a slow lane, right? It's just the lane and the passing lane.
yeah,
Maybe I mean I,
the passing lane. I'm talking
So
about
you
the
have,
passing lane.
yeah, but it's not the fast one. It's just the passing one. So yeah, you go fast, but then you go back to the other one.
But
so
if the other, but the other lane is also slow. It's not like the road is free. Everybody is really slow. Everybody's going at 120. Let's say you
Yeah.
go at 150.
yeah,
Okay, so you can go on the slow lane when you think that you can still keep up your speed.
right.
Right? But it's not like you become slow. So what it means is like if you are slow, stay slow.
Right.
If you want to go fast, stay fucking fast. There's no way that you can be.
But that's to survive in the highway. But actually, like legally, let's say the code of the driving code is like, I don't know. You correct me if I'm wrong, but you drive in the right lane, and if you want to pass a car that is in front of you, you go to the left lane, you accelerate, and then you go back to the right lane.
Right,
But that's the theory, right?
Right,
But
right.
then again, people
no,
just
so no, but that is right. I mean, that is perfectly
Okay.
right. But what if you're on the right lane, on the passing lane?
no. The passing lane is the left. One,
No,
right?
the passing lane is the left lane.
Yeah, okay.
If you're in the passing lane and you're passing cars,
Yes. Yeah.
and
yeah.
somebody is tailgating you because you're already passing cars,
Yeah.
that means, so somebody wants to pass you.
Yeah, but they should wait to you to go back to the right lane because
Right.
at some point you will do it,
Exactly.
and then they can just do whatever.
Exactly, but they don't have the patience.
I know, I know,
They
I
just
know.
come behind you as
Yeah.
like, okay, now what should I do? So I should go back to the slow lane, don't pass any cars, and give you the preference. And I understand if I'm slow, but hey, the speeding limit is 130. I'm going at 150.
You're already
And-
out. You're already
and
off,
you're
yeah.
pushing me. As like, so basically,
yeah,
you're
yeah,
telling
yeah.
me to either break the rule
Yeah.
or go fucking slow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
For
yeah.
me, that's like that's bad. I mean, Switzerland, nobody does it because Switzerland, you go in your respectable speed. Let's say it's
Oh,
120 here.
they do it not as 170, but they also do it.
No, no. I mean, here the code is like if you go at 120, if you're respecting the speed, people give you the distance. They don't come behind you.
It's weird to see somebody faster than 120.
Right. If
But-
you're going here fast, I think somebody who will come and tailgate. I mean, if they want to go, they will keep a distance, and
Yeah.
they say if they want to go, they flash you.
Right.
That's still okay because, okay, you know what, I want to go. But tailgating is really you feel
Yeah.
threatened.
At least when you flash, you keep a sort of distance in case somebody
yeah,
breaks, right?
yeah.
But
Because it's dangerous. If something happens,
Jesus.
somebody's just behind you,
And-
and that pisses you off, right?
And
So-
I'm getting to think now, like if you drive at once, if let's say the guy tailgates you at 170, like what's the minimum distance that you have to keep in case you suddenly brake?
yeah,
Like
they don't
you
do that.
You need to account between like the
Three-
human reflexes already, and then the speed of the inertia of the car,
Yeah,
and then the performance of the brakes as well. But the car
Right.
is gonna slide as well at some point, right?
right.
And I think that 50 meters might be okay, but maybe 10, and 10 is being generous. Like normally they take like a 2 or 3 meters, right? Like super.
Right. Yeah.
Wow,
Exactly. I think
it's unbelievable. Like,
yeah, and that's
fuck.
what make you nervous. If somebody flashes you, I don't mind because they're telling that they want to go fast, move out of my way, totally fine.
It's sort of etiquette.
right.
Sort
right. Yeah, I mean that's the
They're
protocol.
being sort of nice, I guess. But yeah.
But yeah, you get used to it.
Wow.
You drive for a few days and then you're like, yeah. But then the best thing is the transition when you come from Italy to Switzerland and you feel like, this is like
I can
It's-
drive.
it's so pleasant. The roads
I
are
can drive
the roads
normally.
are better, a bit wider, and then
Yeah.
and
Fine.
you don't need to pay a toll for every small distance. In Italy, it's like tolling everywhere. But
Yeah.
that's the thing.
Wow. Hey,
I like the infrastructure in Spain too. We did a lot of road trip in Spain. We went to Barcelona, Madrid. We also drove in Canary Islands.
Hmm.
I think infrastructure in Spain is really nice. The roads and everything are fantastic.
Yeah,
think-
you cannot complain, but the manners where people drive are maybe not as bad as the Italian ones, as you were telling me, but they're very bad. Especially when you go to the city, at least where I came from in Madrid.
Oh, Madrid
It's
is
crazy.
different.
It's
Madrid
crazy.
is different.
Yeah.
Yeah, Madrid is
So-
different.
We used to say in Madrid that if you drive in Madrid, you drive anywhere.
Hmm.
That's the common saying.
Then
I know it's
then
not
you go
true,
to
but-
Naples, and then you come,
And
to
then
India,
you'll see,
and
right?
then you
Yeah.
come to India,
Yeah.
right?
Wow. Yeah. No, but the infrastructure is okay. Maybe the tolls are somewhat expensive at some point. And for example, if you want to go to the airport, this is funny. If you want to go to the airport from the city center or from the outskirts of the city, if you just follow the signs, you pay a toll, like I don't know, €5, just to enter the airport, which is fucking nuts. Like, what would you pay to enter a toll? What was funnier is that if you don't follow the signs and you follow a special road that is not indicated, you can bypass the thing, but it's not indicated. So everybody that follows the signs will pay €5, and if you're a taxi man or whatever,
Or a local person,
or a
then
local
you-
person, you know the
That's
thing,
the
and you don't pay the
advantage,
business.
no? I think the local people shouldn't mind, no? They make money from people who don't know, mostly outsiders and
But
tourists.
that's the point. I mean, maybe the actual locals from the neighborhood, they know it, but anybody from Madrid, if you just want to drive to the airport, they don't know, right? So I don't
Okay.
know. I just
think
find
I think it's a good tactic for a lot of countries to do that.
it's kind of outrageous at some point. Like €5, like come on, €5, brother. That's okay. Maybe not here. Here in Switzerland, it's not much, but there, €5 is
Right.
€5.
Yeah.
I mean, normal toll will be 20
Mm-hmm.
in an or 13 in a highway.
Right.
And just to enter the airport, $5. Like in the metro as well. If you go by metro, you need to pay also $4 to enter the airport, just to enter the airport. So you go to with the metro to there, and then if you're gonna, pass the little doors, they open, you need to pay $4. So you pay your metro trip plus $4.
Okay.
Otherwise, you don't go in.
So what do? People pay $4, or there's also
They-
way out for that?
No, they pay $4.
Okay.
Not many people would jump to doors, but there's a lot of security. So
Right. Yeah.
because they know, right? So
yeah.
I don't know. I find it outrageous, and I think it's because they constructed the airport, the fourth terminal, the T4,
Mm-hmm.
and they spend so much money that they have like a
need
huge
to
hole.
recover. Yeah.
And it's, you guys paid.
Yeah,
Come on, man.
Different ways of taking money out. Yeah.
I don't like it, but whatever. It's the way it is. Hey, I want to bring out maybe somewhat unrelated what we're talking about
Yeah,
now,
for
but
sure.
I
That's
felt
what
that
it
I
is.
wanted to share this at least to know your opinion, because I have
Right.
an opinion about this.
Right.
I don't know how this happens in other countries, but I know how it happens in my country. So in Spain, if I'm not mistaken, if you want to join the police force, the national police force or the municipal police force or whatever, you need to pass 2 exams. You need to pass, let's say, a written exam and then a physical
The
exam,
physical,
right?
yeah.
Okay. And the physical exam, you do tests like, I don't know, running, a distance within a number of seconds, climbing a rope, launching, throwing a weight, whatever,
Right.
Some tests that have like a number that you need to, there's a threshold. You need to pass that threshold in order to be adequate
Right.
for the exam. And the thing is that men have different thresholds than women.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a man, you need to, let's say in the running 50 meters, you need to do it in, 10 seconds. I don't know if that's possible, whatever, in 10 seconds. And the woman needs to do it in, 13 seconds.
Right.
Or 14 seconds, whatever.
Right.
And all of the written exam is not different. The written exam is the same for everybody. But the physical test is different. And, there's a lot of opinion about that in the country. And I don't agree with that, because I don't think that's a good thing. But I wanted to know, what do you think about that? And if that's something that happens maybe in India or in the US or the countries that you've visited.
So what is that you don't agree upon, that the women and men should have the same?
So that the physical exam should be the same for everybody, because you're measuring the physical capabilities to do certain things in the job, right? Let's say, for example, that you're a firefighter, and the firefighter needs to, you say, okay, in order to be an adequate firefighter, you need to be able to climb up 7 floors running and go down as well, right? I don't know. And then you say, yeah, but the men should do 7 floors, and women should do it 5 floors. And then when somebody needs to be rescued in 7 floors, let's put it this way, the man that has trained for that can go 7 floors, but the woman just did 5, so maybe she cannot make 7. My point is that there should
shouldn't
be
any.
you should test not if you're a man or a woman, but you should test what your physical condition is in according to the job. Like if your job requires to do this, then that's it, and then you test that.
I think it is fair to differentiate men and women. Why? Because I think if it's all about strength, I think men is going to win everywhere, and women is not going to even enter the competition because they cannot compete with men.
You think?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
yeah, no. I think men are genetically stronger than women.
Well,
On an average, of course, you can find a very strong woman and a very weak man in this planet, but always compare the strongest men to the strongest women in the world. Always compare the strongest men and the strongest women.
there are some ripped women out there.
Yeah,
brother.
but there's really you don't find Arnold Schwarzenegger kind of women.
Oh yeah, you do. Just type culturist,
Yeah.
women culturist. You'll see like
No, you are, but I
they're
think
as ripped as him. You know.
no, but it's not ripped in terms of strength, right? Let's say how much bench press they do. You take Olympics, right? This is the one of the. You say how much see the weight the man lifts and the most amount of weight the woman lifts. I think men, on average, across all the sports with strength and performance, they outperform women, right? The fastest sprinter, the fastest anything, long jump, whatever, any physical thing. If you look at what is the timing or the metric, what men do compared to what women do, men outpower women, right? This is the genetics, right? Um,
We could generalize that it is, yeah.
no, this is genetics in a way. Yes, now you can modify the DNA. You can make women also. It's all the testosterone hormone, right? The moment if you inject testosterone hormone to women as well, even they'll start, building up muscle and everything as well. So if you don't play with that, always take an average, right? Men and women. So I think having a certain thing will. The first thing is like, why should they do it? Like, let's say there's a task needed. I think this can also be overly generalized to the modern work culture where women are fighting for equal pay as men, right? Which is fairly good. But if you look at the other side of the argument, where people like Trump, they say that it's all depends on how much work they do, right? If you do the same amount of work, pay the same amount. Don't. But if women do less and they ask for equal pay, it's not right. I understand their logic as well, but if you apply that logic, I think we are kind of making very difficult for women to survive in this workspace. Then all the workspace will be very man dominated because you're not even giving a chance for them to come.
I think you need to either like think about one of the two sides, the let's say the worker side, the opportunity side, or the actual output of what the work is going to be. So if you think about let's say the employees or the worker side, and then putting different physical tests for men and women makes sense because you then offer more. You take account of all the different morphologies and things like that. Just the easiest way, so men and women.
But I think that already exists, right? When you go for military exam, they do military. A lot of people do the physical exam. But it's not like everybody will do the same job. After that, also they go in different areas as well.
But I think in the police you don't do that, not directly anyway. Like I think that afterwards you're just a national police and that's it. Like then you can just apply for an office job or
No,
you can patrol or whatever.
I would do the counter argument for that, because I think this is something it can be funny, because there's a number when you qualify the exam, okay? But people tend to get lazy over time. They get fat.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say a guy who gets into military or office or whatever, when they're young, they clock 10 seconds or 12 seconds, 100 meters. 10 years later, with all the paella or the beer and everything, they cannot maintain 10.
Yeah.
So the same argument can apply that since they cannot make 10, they have to be out of the workforce now. Because
I don't think they do that.
yeah, they don't do that. But I'm saying that. But they should.
They could.
No,
could,
but
they
because
should. Yeah.
because that's what the exam says. Because
I'll really agree with that.
No, but I don't think it makes sense because at some point you need to put a gateway. 10, 12 seconds is to select, but it's not like every day these guys have to run or whatever, right? But if you go to this level of analysis, then life is difficult for everybody, no? Because every time you should be perfect
Well,
and
that's
right.
the job, isn't it? And that's my other point. The other side of the coin is the actual job. So,
Right.
meaning, think about the building example again for the firefighters. If somebody is in a 7th floor and you need to run 7 floors up and you test it for 5, maybe you can make 7, but maybe not. So, the job requires for you to run 7 floors.
But I think this is a made-up example. What if it can be done in three minutes already, three floors already? Maybe the whole exam is kind of filtering less and less people. Maybe what is needed is to make only 100 meters in 15 seconds. Women, they keep 13, and men, they keep 10, just so that they filter people. Because at some point, they cannot allow so many people.
Well, I don't know. I don't know
Because
where
right
the
now,
threshold is. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that. I mean, I don't think that they actually test for
I
the
think-
worst conditions
no,
ever.
no,
I think it's
if
kind of.
if I do the
it
if I
makes
do
sense,
the if
but-
I do the examination like this, I would do it this way.
Right.
What is needed is maybe 20 seconds to do 100 meters. I would put 15 for women and 10 for men. Not 10 or any number,
Yeah.
based on, it's like how many people I need in the workforce. For example,
Yeah, it
in order
already
to-
filters out. I know. Yeah, it
you
already
know,
filters out the majority of
it's
people.
all like it's all like what is the culture I want to have in the military, right? So this is what is needed in terms of performance. These are the specs I need. But what is the work culture I need to have? I want to have 60 people men, 40% women. Okay, now let's put this one. If we make an exam for 15 seconds for men, there are so many people coming. I push it so much so I get only 10. What is the number I get for 10? I do the same thing for women, and that is what differentiates it. So this exam is not the ultimate test. The ultimate test could be quite doable by both the people. It should be something like that. That's how you should plan.
That's okay.
Maybe that's what they're planning.
I don't
Maybe
know.
they don't tell you this, but that's
Maybe
what
not.
they plan. Because
I-
on an average, how much is needed? Because how many
I
times?
mean, I have no idea. I don't know what's needed, but I'm just thinking stupid examples. The same way, for example, applies, and you've seen these many times in the TV, on the videos, or whatever. Like, you see a couple of cops during a car, and then somebody outruns them, and then they have to chase them, but they just cannot outchase the guy.
Right.
And they're like, you should be able to do that. And if you cannot, then you're not suitable for the job, because this job requires for you to run after that guy. Or at least, let's say, if you patrol, then you can maybe differentiate. Maybe you're apt, or you're adequate for another type of task
so
within the force. I don't know.
there are two problems for this one. So that means that we need to redo all these exams in a way that they have to meet this technical or strength metrics every year, so that they keep the license.
That's one point of view. The other point of view is that you don't do that, and you just do it at the first step, and you think about who will apply or who will actually access, and not what they need to deliver. Because that's the other point. But I agree with what you're gonna say, I guess.
But I think it's
like putting, like, for example, a driver's license. Once you, in Spain at least, I think you're 60 years old or whatever. I don't know what age. You do it once per year. You do the how you call this fucking
the examination,
the eye-hand coordination exam, and
right.
This optometrics thing, whatever. And every year you do that, meaning that
You have to show
before
that
you did it every fucking, I don't know, 10, 15 years, and now it's every year. It makes sense.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I think military workforce is like, I think for jobs like where you have to chase a lot, you need to keep the younger workforce. Older workforce, you need to they have run at some point. They ran at some point. Now they have to be promoted to do office work, so that you have to maintain a certain work culture, pension, and a culture where somebody is willing to come and serve for the country. If you're so rational, saying that if you don't meet, then people will run away from serving for your country.
I don't think people will run away, but okay, I'm not saying that the test should be super hard, but this should be at least the minimum requirement to perform certain physical activities within
I think
the task that you have.
At least,
and it shouldn't be dependent on sex. It could be dependent, for example, on morphology. Like you could do, for example,
that's not fair. For physical efforts, you cannot keep the same thing for men and women. Anyway, they don't compete that way. I think they have this metrics, but women exams are different, men exams are different. It's not like they compete together.
No. It's the exact same test, but the measure is different. So everybody will do the same tests, but the score depends. I mean, the score threshold depends on every amount.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But it's the same. It's the same exam.
Yeah, it's the same exam.
So you climb the rope, you run the meters. Everybody does the same test at the same time, but the scores are different.
Right, but I'm saying that that's fair, no? I mean, just looking at I mean, for example, the marathon. If you look at anything, all the things are the same.
Yes, they're the
Just that
same.
women get a different timing, men get a different timing. It should say something.
Well, I mean, on average, yeah, but then again, is that really what you need for
I think you need to
for
understand
performing
that they're different.
those police tasks? Maybe it is, and if it is, fantastic.
I think it is. I think it is. I think it is. It's understood. They're different people. I mean, they're different. Yes, they're different. Different kind, and they have their strengths and weaknesses, and we have our strengths and weaknesses.
Well,
So-
true, but for example, like
And police force also needs men and women. We need to understand that.
true. I of course, I don't disagree on that. What I'm saying, I'm not thinking about like
I think-
everybody gets the same chance. Everybody does.
No,
And
but
because you're thinking about the output, not about the input. You're thinking about what they're gonna deliver. Like determine what's the minimum. I don't know. Fucking whatever. I don't know. What's the minimum amount that you need to be able to run in order to,
But
be okay to outrun an average thief or whatever.
Right.
Or a
So
runner, and then you put that thing, and then we'll see who passes and who doesn't pass. For example, as a first approach.
right, I agree
And
to
maybe
this.
it's enough for both men and women, and then you have to be just a little bit fit to pass that, regardless of your sex or your gender. Sorry,
Right. So
you know.
I agree to this, and I told you, right. Maybe people who are designing this, they already both men and women would meet the specs, but the exam what you're seeing is only the other side of it. Maybe 15 seconds is enough to run an average thief.
Maybe it is.
And so for women to filter, because if
Yeah.
you put 10 seconds for the same timing for women,
I mean,
none of the women are
if
qualified.
if you already the let's say the lowest of the women's, because women values are, I mean, lowest, the women threshold is lower than the men threshold. So if the lowest of the lowest is already enough, then I'm fantastic. But
Should
think
be,
about it
yeah.
this way as well. Like, for
That's
example,
the way it should be. I mean, if I were to design an exam, I
But
would design this way.
I would think it
But I
rather.
would still separate men and women.
I would separate by morphologies, because
See, I mean,
let's say you're a small dude. Just say you're
take two different approaches. See, you want to differentiate morphology. Do the thing and see how many men and women are selected, and you do other ways as well. And I'm saying that a lot of people around the world, they do separate, because that's where you can have a controlled way of getting a community together.
what is the easiest way? Just men, women, in fact. But morphology would be more appropriate, because now you can accomplish. Let's say, for example, somebody that is taller has bigger legs, and maybe is thinner, for example, and then can outrun somebody that is shorter. So I don't know.
So what you're saying
If I had to differentiate, thresholds of the exam, I would do it by morphology and not by gender. Meaning that I will account for height,
I think if you do,
I don't know,
if you do it, but I think it's
buffness, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know.
it's
or-
too. I think it's too. I think it's perfect. I think, but the thing is,
Or both. I don't know.
you need to also see what's the cost of doing a morphology as
True,
well.
true. Yeah,
So there's
yeah,
a certain cost to it. But if you do morphology, I'm sure if you do the morphological way of differentiating people, I think definitely women will be differentiated from men in terms of like the structure or whatever it is, automatically.
But for example, you will
Or
have
they can be
also-
mix of.
Yeah, for example, I don't know. Big woman will be in another. It would be in the same category as, I don't know, bigger men, and small men would be in the same category as small women, or thin men with thin women, and like it makes more sense to think it a little bit that way. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I just thought that it's not the best system. That's what I. This whole thing is just for me to say that I didn't think it was the best system, and I want to know your opinion.
I don't think even morphology would be a best system. You can always find the
So you think the gender system would be better than the morphology system
yeah,
if you had to differentiate between
I think
participants?
we need to do an experiment, because
Right.
they take a thin man and a thin woman and see how they perform.
Right. Okay.
So I mean that's what you see in marathon runners are both men and women are very thin, and see
Yeah,
men perform different than women. So you need to understand something from there.
Mhm.
At least from the running athletes who are there, we can already do this thing, because marathon has a wide range of people.
Mhm.
And if you do that a simple exam, then we'll get to know what morphology leads. But I think sex-based discrimination is pretty well. I think there was a big debate about Serena Williams too, right? In tennis as well, like
I forgot about. I heard something
Yeah,
about
I
it,
mean,
but
there's a
what
lot-
was the controversy or the?
I mean, like she's. I mean, she has like I think some more amount of testosterone than other women or something like that, or some people say that she's very much like a man than a woman. Of course she's going to trash every woman,
she's a
but
woman.
she's a woman. I mean, she gave birth, but I'm just saying, people who because yes, she looks well built up, she can definitely compete with men too, but the way they've done it, it was a bit bad. But I think if you see, that's where it goes. If you go with morphology, she wouldn't compete with any woman.
Mm-hmm.
She would be competing in the men's section because she's well built.
Maybe that's fine.
But that's not fair. That's not fair. It's like if you're
I don't know.
because in that case you're suppressing, because if you take a stronger woman and you say, okay, now you cannot compete with women, compete with men. Of course she cannot compete with men because men are genetically well built, and if you take the best
but you've never put Nadal versus Williams, for example. You don't know how it's going to go, She's buffed, he's buffed.
No,
so
I think it'll be Nadal for sure.
You think? Well, Nadal is a good player.
No, not Nadal. You can don't take
whatever. I know Djokovic. I don't give any other.
They're good players. Take the number 10 ranking, and he will be better than Serena Williams, because if you look at the amount of speed in which they serve the serve, is so different.
Right.
She's very good, but if you see how fast she hits the ball, men are way ahead of women. If you look at the tennis, it's so slow. If you look at
maybe she will fall. If for example, maybe Nadal will fall in a higher category than she would fall. For example, I don't know. Maybe she wouldn't account for the same morphology as Nadal accounts. Maybe
I think maybe she's more.
I don't know, 3 or 4 levels, and she'll be whatever.
No, for example, if you look at Federer, I don't think morphological wise Serena Williams would be bigger than Federer. Yeah. Nadal would be bigger than Federer.
Mm-hmm.
Djokovic and Federer are fairly very thin, very lean.
Yeah.
And they're amazing, right? So I don't think it's in the right direction that way. I think it's better to keep it this way. If not, you need to have a certain
I was thinking
run.
for example, boxing, and martial arts. They go by weight,
Yes, because when you do,
it's just that kind of the same approach, like it's not actually morphology, it's just weight. So a lot of things happen there, I know, but as a rough approach, I was thinking about that.
But if you see that, even that is not right. No, a tall guy with much.
No, because the system is kind of too basic, in my opinion. Because then you have weird things going on.
At the end, basic is. I mean, it's a simpler way to differentiate. For example, in boxing, heavy versus this. It's very simple. I don't think it's accurate in a way, because there can be tall, bulky, whatever.
Yeah, true. Maybe account for, I don't know, shoulder width, and I don't know, whatever, bicep width, whatever. I don't know, man. Like other type of measures that could actually, measure your morphology more accurate, or the type of body that you're actually having.
Right.
I don't know.
I think maybe that's going to be the future of sports, because now it's getting so competitive where we tend to recognize certain kind of genetics that they're better than the other genetics, which might not be true. They can be short, wider, broad, strong men, but most of the systems are going for this and there. So maybe the future is all about having so many of these variations and having so many different people try to reach the top level, because saying only one best sprinter in the world, like 100 meters, it's all Usain Bolt. I don't see why 100 meters. Like, why not 50 meters? Maybe there can be somebody who's very good in 50 meters. Maybe there's somebody who's good in 150 meters. I think that's where it's going.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like so, and now it depends on how many.
Then at the end, in that example, also they completely specialize for that thing. So maybe they will completely be outrun in any other category that is sort of also explosive running.
Right.
So
I'm sure somebody would outpower. I think
because they measure everything to the super details, to the millisecond, right?
Because if you look at Usain Bolt, I think the other guy from Jamaica, what's his name? Johan.
I forgot.
They
used to run the same.
But he's a shorter and much wider guy, a much stronger guy. I'm sure he would beat him in 50 meters dash, not 100, because Usain always gets this long strides, and it takes some time to get back into.
He doesn't start first. I know. But then he just catches up.
Yeah, because he has long and he has this thing where short people can really go fast very soon.
Yeah.
I'm sure this guy Johan, I think he would beat in 50 meters, but so. Not?
You're right. I was thinking also about this other American runner. He, I don't know what Olympics, but he won like
Ben Johnson.
Maybe, I don't know. It was a super. he wasn't very tall. He was black and very tough. I forgot about him.
Ben
about the name.
Johnson, maybe.
Maybe him. So he was super fast and he won the gold medal. But
Mark.
again, he wasn't as tall as Usain Bolt, for example. So I don't know. Like you have gold medals in 100 meters that are completely different types of bodies, sort of.
Right.
And as you say, yeah, it doesn't necessarily link up to the morphology. It just links up to who's working what, and then you have so many different body types that can specialize so many different types of tests or sports.
Right.
And then you do 50 meters, and then all of a sudden you get new stars that just pop up that weren't actually performing in the other categories, and they pop up in the 50 or whatever. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, but I think that's going to be the future. I think so many different formats, so that there's, I think, genetics wise, I think a lot of people have different genes, and we should promote in such a way that every gene would evolve, right? All these genetics would evolve, right? You cannot just say one sport and always look for, very dominant, very, I think, so I think that's there.
Yeah. But already, I think it already does that in a way. Like the Olympics, let's think about the Olympics because that's the most, let's say, broad organized, varied, or how you say that? Varied? I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, let's say the whole.
Yeah, the most wide sport you can find. Like you have so many disciplines and so many things, and already there you have so many types of people that are doing different things, and they're super specialized in those things.
Right,
and
right.
As you say, they have completely different genetics. They pull up, I think, in their category. So kind of you can find the same type of person in the same category. It makes sense, I guess.
Right.
Like, I don't know, if you're going to jump the three, the three jumps, the jump length, you can have, you find people with big legs and,
Right. I mean, if you see how people play table tennis, they have certain kind of attire versus tennis versus badminton versus.
But it's already so broad that you have so many, genotypes. If you can put it that way, I don't know if that's the correct word.
Genotypes, yeah. Genotype. We all have. Yeah.
I think there's a word that goes in that direction, genotype or something, like the way you are. I don't even know if this applies to humans or this is correct. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying, but
right.
Like when you see the weight throwers, that's fucking crazy. When you see they throw these weights.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's funny to see all the bodies and all the.
Yeah.
I always get amazed. When you see the 100-meter runner, the 1500 meter runner, the weightlifter, it's fucking
I think it's
amazing.
fairly
It's amazing. Yeah.
Just they don't have cricket in Olympics, but apart from that, everything is fine.
Would you root for that?
Actually, Olympic guys really wanted cricket, but I don't think. I think now the Cricket Association is too big. So they don't want to dilute their thing, I guess. It's like football, right? I mean, soccer and Olympic, nobody cares, right? I think this is how it'll turn out to be.
So you think it's so big that it's already a thing on its own?
Yeah, it's so big, right? Already.
I'm thinking cricket. Football, yes, but I'm thinking cricket.
Yeah, cricket is too big
it's already. Super big.
Yeah, it's too big. I mean, there's a lot of money involved. It's too
big.
But
it would be, how you put this? Maybe in India and Australia, cricket is a thing, but in Europe,
it's
minority, right?
No,
isn't it?
It is minority because not because you have football stars, right? You don't have cricket stars, so of course it's a minority here. But there is a cricket team in Italy,
I'm sure
Spain,
there is,
Switzerland,
of course. But
like none of them qualify to. It's like India also have a football team, but we don't even qualify.
Right.
You see, I mean, we play football. I mean, there are so many people who are really, even in my city, we have a small football team.
Yeah. But me put it in the Olympics makes it more available to
But it's already there.
To the
it's
public.
Already in about 190 countries already. If you go to the ICC, they're doing, and that is the whole thing about their whole association is to spread cricket to all the countries as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's like every country has its market share, right? If other sports have taken the market share, it's like pretty much like business. It doesn't make sense to it's like food, right? I mean, if already a culture has its own food, it's very difficult for other foods to come in.
True.
Unless it is very commercialized, like what American food culture is.
Yeah.
But apart from that, it's so difficult to get into the
right.
inbuilt. You eat burger, but you don't eat burgers every day at home, right? You have your own traditional cultural food, which has already taken. But if you go to a place where they're very primitives and they don't know anything, that's where you can take off and you can give off your culture.
Yeah. also, open mind open to that, because maybe I feel that, for example, if you put the football example, like in Spain, football is like the super big thing, and
Yeah.
people would just go like, oh, because this comes from another country, so they have no idea how to do the sport. So they will already think that it's bad because it comes from the outside, or it's simpler, or they don't like it, and their sport is better than the other sport. So they're fixed with their thing, their
I think if I feel like
their
it
sport.
is like what you're exposed to as a kid, right? Then you have a taste
Oh,
for that.
definitely, yeah.
And that's what football is for
But if your
Europeans.
dad is like a super football fan, you're most likely gonna be like that, and maybe your kid's gonna be like that, and so
Yeah,
it just goes on and on and on and on. And
exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas,
But not true in my case, by the way. But
yeah, but there are people like I think everywhere. Like my brother hates cricket; he doesn't even watch it.
right, yeah.
Right. I mean, we are from the same place. Like my dad loves cricket. I love cricket too. So it's all different. I think you always have these people who hate it, but culturally, mostly average people will just go with whatever
Average,
exists
yes,
there.
yeah.
And few people are looking, or like my brother, it's not like he watches football. I mean,
Mhm.
he's not excited for that too.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Whereas if you're in the US, it's all about American football and baseball, and you have your own thing. So at the end of the day, you have to fill up your ideal brain with some entertainment,
Yeah.
and sports and local entertainment gives you that.
Yeah,
thing,
you need
and
to
you're
make
done.
an easy choice, and the easy choice is whatever. And,
Right.
you know,
If you want to do something else, you need to really
yeah,
do
it-
the
it
extra
takes,
effort.
Yeah, it takes effort, it takes time, it takes exactly.
But yeah, there's a
Yeah.
market. I mean, there's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
there's a huge market for. I mean, there's a lot of people in India that I know who are a big fan of English Premier League, Manchester
It
United.
came from Britain at the beginning, or is it from India
Which one?
originally? Cricket
Yeah, it's from England.
from England. Okay, okay. I don't know. So you don't have a special version in India that you play. It's the.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. Yeah.
I wonder. I mean, I don't know.
I think a lot of
I've actually never
for-
seen a
for-
cricket match in my life.
For me, it's very surprising. A lot of maybe because of the colonization, but a lot of sports came out of England. That's very surprising. Football, cricket,
Football, yeah, cricket,
rugby,
boxing,
every
rugby.
and there were traces that
True,
even
true,
tennis
true,
came
true.
from England too. Tennis,
Tennis?
yeah, England and France. I mean, the kings used to play, and polo. I don't know.
Polo. With the horses.
Yeah, come with any fucking game, and it came out of England. I think these guys were really good at some point.
Or they just conquered the whole world and popularize it. Or
But they never conquered Europe, right? I don't know why Europe should play football. Like Americans are very smart because they say, okay, these guys play football. If we enter this, we were never going to master it. So
Yeah.
we'll invent our own sport.
Yeah, we take rugby, we change the rules, and we do whatever the fuck we want. Or we
and
take the
then-
same ball, and then we just.
And we have our own market, so let the whole world come to us. No, I think it's great. I don't know why Europe hasn't done it.
I don't know, but as you say with cricket in Spain or in other countries in Europe, you have also American football teams, and there's a big culture for that, but
Yeah.
not as big as
Yeah,
the rest of the culture.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, baseball and everything. No,
What
not
about-
basketball.
What about basketball? What is?
It's coming. It's coming. Recently, I think the NBA match, the first NBA match, not the first, but there's one NBA
Because
match coming up in Mumbai this
Because the
year.
World Cup already happened and Spain won, right?
Which one? In basketball?
Yes,
Yeah.
we won.
Yeah.
I think, but so
Spain is good actually.
Uh,
but-
they demonstrate that they are. I haven't.
But the
I
funny
haven't
thing
seen
is like
much, but-
the funny thing is like Americans are not very much into these things, you know.
Yeah.
They don't follow the NBA, the basketball World Cup. They like their NBA and they stick to their NBA.
Yeah,
You know.
but it's more a close
It's
war
like
than anything else.
it's like the European Premier League, no? It's like
The FIFA.
FIFA.
Yeah,
Some people are so much into FIFA and the
Yeah,
club
yeah, yeah.
culture, and
Yeah.
that's what it is in the US. They're all into club culture.
Yeah.
And
I think with the FIFA and all that, most of what I think is that it concentrates rather country by country. So everybody roots for their teams in their country, and they're so, in the whole paraphernalia that and the whole world that is happening. But within the country, within their national league,
you don't think Spanish? There are no Spanish people who were loving Manchester United.
yeah,
or
true. Of
or,
course, I'm saying just the majority. Everybody follows their national teams and the national league, and then
the national league.
international matches. But the international matches with other teams, you follow, but you follow your own team from your own country. I'm not saying that there's nobody that roots for, I don't know, Manchester or Juventus or whatever. Of course there are, but most likely you're going to root for somebody from your country.
But if your favorite player is playing for some other country, some other club,
Mhm.
maybe you would want to go for that club, no? Like, I'm sure there's a lot of
It
Messi
depends
fans
if you
who
root
are-
for the player or the team. If you
Right,
root for the
right.
player, then you follow it anywhere. But I don't think that's
That's a common.
that's a common thing. I
You
think people
typically
root for
go
the,
for the
team.
team.
Yeah, yeah. Because put it this way, who played? Remember Beckham,
Beckham,
David
yeah.
Beckham.
Yeah.
I don't know where he played after the Real Madrid, but he came to Madrid and then he had millions of fans, and then he left, and the team didn't suffer. He just had as many fans almost. So
Right.
I'm
He-
sure
he-
people follow around some stars, but I
Right.
think at the end of the day, you just root for your team.
Right. Right.
Because you have like these values and ideas of
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a group
they-
or whatever.
exactly. Yeah. I get it. I get it.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't have an idea. In my house when I was a kid, my dad was a super huge football fan.
So you became a rebel.
I became a rebel and I hated it so much because every fucking Sunday the TV was on the whole day with football matches because Sunday is like football day in Spain.
Oh, that's right. It's like that. You
I
took the
hate it so
TV, and that's
much.
why you hate it. Okay.
Yeah, and then you want to see something and my dad's watching football. Can I put no because I'm watching the so Sunday was off.
Mm. Okay.
And
It's
not only that, because you had the matches, and then you have the analysis of the matches.
commentary.
Exactly.
And,
So you have the commentaries and the fucking matches, and like, come on, the whole day is taken. The whole fucking day is taken.
Right.
And then what's funny is that my brother became a huge fan as well, but I'm the opposite. So it skipped like 2 generations. Well, my sister doesn't give a fuck, but my brother, which is the last one,
Right.
he's a huge fan.
Your
I
dad
don't
should be happy. At least one of them is in the cricket.
At least one of them is into,
That's what he was betting
yeah,
for, right?
Yeah. It doesn't mean that I don't have fun watching like the international matches. That's I think it's funny, but for
Yeah.
other reasons, not
Yeah.
for football, which is like camaraderie and like, oh, we're gonna play against France, fuck you, France, and then you do this. But it's always within,
Yeah. It's just for
it's just
fun.
fun.
If it
and-
happens
and
once in 4 years, it's
Yeah.
fun. But if it's every other weekend, then it's like
fuck it, yeah.
too much. You need
And
to
like
be
for me, the international, the World Cups are like what every 4 years or every.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
So we can wrap it up here.
Yes.
think?
We would wrap it up here.
Yeah.
And the episode name is
Fuck.
Brian. You're missing.
Brian, you're no, let's think. We can go in topic, or you want us go outside the topic.
It can be random because
Can be random.
Cedric left the room.
Cedric left, but he did left the room, so I don't know. It was kind of a.
So Brian is not here. Maybe Brian, or no? You want to do something with the topic? Yeah, go ahead. This time,
I don't know. I'm thinking like we could say cricket. I don't know. We like cricket. Cricket is good. We call it cricket. I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see the name.
Brian is playing cricket.
Brian is playing cricket. We can put that one. Brian is playing cricket.
Brian is playing cricket.
That's the main reason he's not here today. He's
Yeah.
fucking playing cricket. He's
Like,
learning.
Brian
Yeah.
is playing cricket. Yeah.
We'll figure out next time, I guess. But yeah, Brian is playing cricket. Yeah.
That
Anyways,
sounds cool, man.
thank you very much
Thanks, Paco.
for being here.
It was a pleasure talking to you.
Pleasure is mine. And I guess I'll see you next time.
See you in a few weeks.
See you. Bye-bye,
Bye.
guys.
Bye.